What is going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a great day. I just wanted to record this video for the first one of our YouTube channel, first official one. What I wanted to go over in this video was a really high asked for topic is fake outs versus breakouts. A lot of retail traders and a lot of new traders especially have this problem a lot. I know I did when I first started as well. How to know when a breakout of a trend line or a key level is truly a breakout or if it's just going to fake out. This is something a lot of traders struggle with. Like I said, I struggled with in the beginning. As we are in our strategy, we emphasize on taking breakout style entries. So in that style of trading, you want to make sure you're not in a fake out situation. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 ways that you can utilize and you can talk about or you can have in your strategy that will help you to decide if this move is truly a breakout, which you want to take part in those breakout moves because those are the impulsive, those are the big moves that take place where you can make a lot of money. So we want to make sure we're in those moves and we're not getting faked out. So like I said, we're going to be talking about 3 key points in this video that will hopefully help you to utilize to not be in those fake out situations. So here on my screen, you can see we're on gold. I'm on the daily time frame. I have my price rewinded of about 2 days, as this was the most recent move where I saw this take place. We actually talked about this setup in our free Telegram, Forex 1%. You guys can check that out. We actually forecasted this move that I'll show you guys here in a minute that happened. It was almost a 1,000 pip move that we forecasted in our Telegram in one of our videos we made last week. And I explained to people why this was likely going to be a fake out situation. So I have my price rewinded here so you guys can't see that yet, but I wanted to go over this because this was a huge move that caught a lot of people on the wrong side of the market. Some people can say it's because of fundamentals, but this move was forecasted based off technical analysis weeks in advance. So one of the things I'll go over right before we start, some of the 3 key points when you're looking at fake outs versus breakouts. I'm going to emphasize this. You guys can write this down or take note of this. The 3 key things we focus on when looking at potential structures or potential breakouts. Three things right here. First one, how is price approaching a key level? Is it approaching correctively or impulsively? The next one is, how has price broken out of a key level? Same thing. Did it break out impulsively or did it break out correctively in the form of a correction? And thirdly, where did price come from? Where is price coming from when it's breaking out? Is it coming from a double top, a double bottom? Is it coming from a previous impulse move? So I'll explain that a little more once I go into this technical analysis. But those 3 things: how is price approaching a key level? How has price broken out of a key level? And where is price coming from? What was the past price action that is currently happening? So I'm on gold here. Like I said, I'm rewinded in my price action. So this was a huge move that like I said in our video 2 weeks ago, was likely going to catch a lot of people on the wrong side of the market, and it did. So as you guys can see here, we're moving within this larger bullish correction. You guys can see this when I zoom out. This is a larger bullish correction. So a lot of people here were looking, they were saying, okay, we're at this key line, we're at this key trend line. We want to be looking for a breakout scenario because this is a larger bullish correction. So people were looking to take long positions. But I mentioned to people, and I mentioned in our last Telegram video when we went over the setup, this was about where price action was when I did the previous video. So I'm going to share my thoughts on why I thought this would be a break or a fake out scenario. So like I said, when we look at market structure and price action, it's just simple impulse and corrections. Let's look left and let's see what happened previously. We had an impulse and we had our correction. We have an impulse, we had another correction just for another impulse move down, smaller correction, impulse. And now this entire price action right here is just another correction. So after this impulse move, you can see we're moving correctively. So my thought process going into this was, okay, if we're moving in this bearish correction still, it's likely that we could move up to this outer structure of this correction. If I move this trend line, this is what I'm talking about. This is the structure we're focusing on currently. So even though this trend line was here and people were looking at that as a breakout, I want to look at market structure and what stage of the market we're in. Are we in an impulse or are we in a correction? On a lower time frame, let me play price action a little bit further. So you guys can see what happened here. We had this smaller impulse move up. And so this is where a lot of people are taking long positions. You see, okay, we broke out of this descending trend line. Now we want to go long because we had a strong breakout. Okay, and so my thing is, where is price coming from? Where is this price action move coming from? Well, it's coming from this bearish correction. So that's one sign already that this could be a fake out, because where is it coming from? It's coming from a bearish correction. Also, we see, okay, how did price break out? It broke out correctively. you can still see we're still within this correction right here. So it still broke out correctively. And as well, this previous lower high has not been invalidated. So the trend is still in a downtrend. We can see right here, lower low, lower high, lower low. This previous lower high has not been invalidated. So we're still within this downtrend. That's another point right there. So when I see, okay, how did price break out? It still broke out correctively. You can see how price is approaching as well. It approaching this level correctively as well. So all signs are pointing to this could be a potential fake out. But people are looking at this strong daily bullish candle here, and people are thinking, okay, this is a strong breakout. We see a strong impulse move up. And oftentimes that would be an indication, okay, we broke out impulsively. We had this impulsive daily candle, which is strong, showing bullish momentum. But you have to look at all 3 points that I talked about. You can't just use one and hope it works out in your favor because that's the one you chose to, utilize. You have to look at all 3 of them, just because this would oftentimes show a strong breakout scenario. But if you don't look at where price has come from and how did it break out, you won't get the full picture. So I mentioned on my free Telegram in the video that it was likely that price would come up to this outer structure. And why did I believe that? Because when I go to the 4-hour, let me zoom in. Our trend line was previously here on this this high right here. So I was looking for this third touch. We often look for 3 touches to complete these patterns. You can see 1 touch, 2 touch. We were looking for this third touch, which would have likely been the fake out. And you can see as well on the 4-hour, this price action right here was showing bullish weakness because the bulls couldn't keep pushing up. You can see this is just slow, stagnant candlesticks. And if you go on the 1 hour, you can see this is a smaller ascending channel. So when I saw this, I was alerting to my members. I was saying, okay, we're at this key point we were talking about. We know that this could be a potential fake out area because this is still a larger correction. So let me play price action out further and you guys can see what inevitably happened. You can see we had, and a lot of people took this as well. A lot of people got caught here as well on this potential, retest is what people want to call it. But those retests are often just corrections. But a lot of people got caught here as well, saying, okay, we're forming, a higher high, higher low. People wanted to take this buy as well. So a lot of people got caught on this potential retest. But when I go to the daily, you guys can see this, we're just moving within this bearish correction still. This is still this bearish correction. So when I move this trend line, this is just a impulse and correction for a potential next move down. So like I said, a ton of people took that buy as well. And you guys can see what inevitably happened here is we had this strong daily push, which ended up being over 1,000 pips. So if you guys want to go look in my free Telegram, if you guys don't believe that I forecasted this move, the video is still there in our free Telegram. Feel free to go look at it. We pretty much forecasted this exact pinpointed entry, as well as this breakout entry as well. So just something to note, like I said, those 3 points. How is price approaching a key level? How is it broken out? And where did price action come from? So that's just one good example of recent price action that just happened this last week. So I'm not just handpicking, a bunch of examples. This just happened this last week. It was a very good example of why retail traders get caught on the wrong side of the market, not understanding true breakouts. Because if you understand price action and understanding, impulses and corrections, you would have saw that this is still just a correction. So that was just a good example there on gold. I'm going to go to another setup, Euro NZD. This was also a setup that happened this last week. So like I said, I don't want to just handpick a bunch of random examples. I want to make sure that this is relevant. So this was another example of a huge move that we caught this week in our free Telegram as well. Perfectly forecasted. I also posted on my Instagram, Forex 1%, if you wanted to check that out, see where I forecasted this potential move. So right here, we're at this breakout level right here. So we're in this channel right here, and we're at this breakout level. So you want to look to yourself and say, okay, how do I know this is a breakout? How do I know if I want to take short positions or could it be a fake out? How do I know? Okay, first thing let's look at, where is price action coming from? If we're already starting to break out, where is price action coming from? Well, it's coming from this larger bearish corrective move. This whole thing was just a larger correction. When I zoom out here, you guys can see the example of an impulse and correction. Let me grab my second. There we go. So you guys can see just this clear impulse and correction. This whole move was just this large impulse move. And now we're moving within a correction. And after a correction, we know that oftentimes a breakout happens. Impulse and corrections, that's all it is. Just simple price action. So when I say, okay, where did price action come from? Well, it's coming from this bearish correction. So we know after a bearish correction, there's likely another impulse move to happen to the downside. So that's our first thought. Okay, well, we're coming from a bearish correction, so that's already indication that we could potentially be moving down further. But let me stick to the 4-hour here. So when we're at this breakout level, because we're breakout traders, we take breakout style entries. So we would have entered somewhere here. If we didn't get the entry, which I didn't get this breakout style entry, but let me show you guys where my next point was. So if I play price action out a bit, you guys can see we came down. And so we had this impulse move down. This was a clean breakout. We had a strong impulse move down. So it says, okay, how did it break out? It broke out impulsively. We didn't break out within some, within some correction. This price action here, how did price approach the key level? This is nothing showing me that we could reverse here and head back up. So we broke out impulsively, which is a good sign that we could continue to move to the downside. So this is where I forecasted our move in the free Telegram. I said, okay, after an impulse, we know that a correction is likely to take place. And what I was told my free Telegram was just look for a lower time frame correction. This move right here was a higher time frame correction. So we're just looking for a lower time frame correction, impulse. And what we're looking for is this correction to take place and then to get into short positions then. So let me play this out. You guys can see we had this move up and then we had our correction for which inevitably led to the next impulse move down. So this was just a good example. This was a trade we actually took, still holding from last week, running at about 200 pips. So you guys can see what happened here. But going back to the idea of fake outs or breakouts, this was just a really good example because where we're coming from is a bearish correction. Where price is approaching this key level, there's nothing showing that this is reversal. There's no double bottom here. There's no rejection candles. So how did price approach this level? It approached pretty impulsively. You guys can see we're moving down and then it broke out impulsively. This was a smaller impulse move down. So all three of our boxes got checked off. So once I saw this impulse move down, because like I said, I didn't get this breakout entry. But when I saw this impulse move down, I thought to myself, all those three key points. Okay, we broke out impulsively. We came from a correction. So now I'm ready to look for short positions. So what I told my free Telegram was just look for a lower time frame correction. All three of our boxes have been checked off that this was a clean breakout. Now we're ready to move to the downside. So once you can check off those three boxes, you put the probability, you put the edge in your favor. Not saying every single time this happens, it's going to work out because that's just not how the market works. You don't get to make every trade exactly how you want every time. But like I said, it puts the probability in your favor. So this was just another good example here. All three of our boxes were checked off and we're continuing to move to the downside. So let's go look at one more example. We have Australian New Zealand dollar. So another good example, let me rewind price action. This happened a few weeks ago, but this was another move that we talked about in our free Telegram. Let me reverse it a little bit more. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So let's see here. We're in this downtrend move here. We can see we're just moving within this downtrend. So what we want to look at here, this was, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were looking at this setup for potential long positions. And so people were messaging me and saying, okay, how do I know that we're truly going to break out? I've been faked out too many times and I don't like taking breakout style entries. But when you know what to look for, these breakout style entries are a lot easier. All you have to do is make sure those three boxes are checked off like I mentioned. So first thing we want to look at here, how we're approaching this key level right here. Because a lot of people say, okay, how do we know that price won't just, fake out and then reject right back down as we're moving within this downtrend move? Okay, well, first thing I'm seeing is, okay, we're approaching this level pretty impulsively. You can see this last 4-hour candle closed very bullish. So we're approaching pretty impulsively here on a lower time frame scale. Okay, how is price moving? Where did price come from? What happened in previous price action? Where are we coming from within this move? Okay, well, this whole move right here is a reversal pattern. If you guys know patterns, this is a descending channel or not really a wedge, but this is more likely a descending channel. So where's price action coming from? We're coming from this descending channel, which as we know is a reversal pattern. Okay, another point, something we talked about in our strategy. We have our third touch confirmation right here. You guys can see we have one touch of this trend line, we have two, and then we have three. And within our strategy, like I say, oftentimes in our free Telegram, we look for 3 touches for these patterns to be complete. We've seen that these patterns like to form 3 touches before showing completion. It doesn't happen every time, but we've seen over a large amount of time, over a large scale of these style of patterns. More often than not, these patterns will form 3 touches before completion, and that means they're ready to break out for the next impulse stage. So I see price actions approaching impulsively. I see where we're coming from, this descending channel. Okay, let's see how price action is broken out. Let's play it out a little bit more. Let me go a little slower. Okay, so we broke out pretty impulsively. Let me pause this. So there's nothing here that's showing me that we're ready for it, that this could be a fake out, because we had, like I said, we see where price action is coming from. We're approaching impulsively and we're ready to move up. So I didn't get this breakout entry. We often take these breakout entries, but I didn't get it on this setup. I remember this setup. I think I was sleeping during the London session when this happened. But okay, so this can still help me form my next bias on, okay, I'm looking for long positions now. So let me play price action out a bit. You can see we had this impulse move up and we're slowly correcting. And so this is when I look to take my entry. I said, okay, we had just a simple breakout of a reversal pattern, impulse, and now we're forming this correction. So how did I know to take part in this correction? Because I understood that this was a clean breakout, that we're ready for a potential new trend or new move. So I looked to take this long position. I'm pretty sure I entered this a couple weeks ago. I was just looking for a breakout of this correction. And you guys can see what happened here. We had another breakout. So this breakout was, I understood how this breakout happened. So this helped me to form my next entry, which was right here. Because I understood that this wasn't, likely a fake out to where we could have moved up and then just crashed back down. I understood the principles. I understood our three boxes were checked off here, that this was a clean breakout. And a breakout often means we're ready for a new trend, whether that be a smaller term trend, or if you're on a higher time frame scale, it could be a longer term trend. But for me, this is the 4 hour. So I'm not saying the whole structure of odd NZD was going to go bullish, but for a short-term move, I knew that because this breakout happened, all three of our boxes were checked. This was likely ready for the next move up. And you guys can see we ended up going higher, but just to show the principles of what we look for in terms of breakouts or fake outs. So oftentimes those fake outs, if one of those boxes, like I said, those 3 key points, if one of those 3 key points is not there, then you might want to look at taking another trade or taking a different trade, because that can oftentimes lead to a fake out. Like I said, on the gold setup, I went over why that was a fake out style of a move. So if you want to, I showed a couple examples of breakout scenarios and why they're clean breakouts, but also on the gold setup, excuse me, also on that gold setup, you guys can see why that was a fake out, because not all of our boxes were checked. We had maybe one box checked on, okay, price broke out pretty impulsively, but the other 2 boxes were not checked because we were still moving within that bearish correction. And we saw where price action came from. So like I said, it's important to know those 3 key things when looking for breakouts or fake outs. So I hope this video helped you guys in any way. Feel free to check out my Instagram, Forex1%. You guys can message me there if you have any questions. My free Telegram as well, Forex1%. You guys can see these setups that we go over a lot in our bias.